What if I told you that the meal you had last night might have roots stretching back thousands of years to the tables of emperors and pharaohs? It's not just about the food, it's about the stories, traditions, and innovations that have traveled through time, shaping what we eat today. Ancient culinary practices weren't just about sustenance, they were a reflection of culture, power, and innovation. From the opulent feasts of Roman emperors to the sacred rituals of Mesopotamian kitchens, these lost recipes carry secrets that can teach us more than history. They can inspire how we cook and live now. Today, we're diving into the kitchens of ancient empires to uncover recipes and practices that have been forgotten by time. But why does it matter? Because every bite tells a story, and those stories connect us to our past in ways we might not expect. Whether it's a spice blend traded along the Silk Road or a simple dish born from necessity, each ingredient has a tale worth telling. So join me as we embark on this culinary journey, where the table of kings reveals surprising insights about the world we live in today. Are you ready to discover what history has left behind? Imagine a world where cooking wasn't just a necessity for survival, but a deeply artistic expression of culture and creativity. In ancient societies like Egypt and Mesopotamia, cooking began to take shape as more than just a way to prepare food. It became an art form. These early civilizations were some of the first to harness the power of fire, turning it into a tool that transformed raw ingredients into meals that satisfied both the body and the soul. With rudimentary tools like clay pots, open hearths, and rudimentary grinding stones, these societies developed techniques that would later influence centuries of culinary practice. In Egypt, for example, ancient cooks discovered how to ferment grains and create early forms of bread, a staple that became central to their diet and culture. They also mastered the art of preserving food, using salt, drying, and even honey to ensure that their harvests lasted through leaner times. Meanwhile, in Mesopotamia, the Sumerians were among the first to document recipes on clay tablets, offering us a glimpse into their sophisticated approach to cooking. They perfected the art of brewing beer, grinding wheat into flour, and preparing stews with a variety of spices, a testament to their ingenuity and resourcefulness. These early techniques were not just about sustenance, they were a reflection of the society's values, beliefs, and environment. The Nile River provided Egypt with fertile soil and abundant crops, while Mesopotamia's reliance on irrigation shaped their agricultural practices and consequently their cuisine. By adapting to their surroundings, these civilizations created foundational practices that would evolve into distinct culinary identities. As time progressed, these methods spread through trade and conquest, mingling with other cultures to create a rich tapestry of culinary traditions. The next step in this journey takes us to how these techniques adapted and transformed, giving rise to the diverse food practices we know today. How did fire, a simple element, become the catalyst for such complexity? Stay with us as we uncover the next chapter in the story of culinary art. Imagine a world where ingredients we take for granted today were completely unknown, or where once vital staples have all but vanished from our kitchens. This is not the stuff of science fiction, it's a real part of culinary history. As we delve deeper into the lost recipes and practices of ancient empires, one fascinating aspect emerges: the mystery of forgotten ingredients. These are the building blocks of meals that fed entire civilizations but somehow slipped through the cracks of time. Take ancient grains, for instance. Foods like spelt, emmer, and einkorn were dietary cornerstones in early societies, prized for their rich nutritional value and versatility. Yet, over centuries, they were largely replaced by modern wheat varieties engineered for higher yields and easier processing. Why did this happen? Part of the reason lies in industrialization. These traditional grains required more labor-intensive cultivation methods. But as we rediscover them today, there's growing evidence that they offer health benefits far beyond what processed grains provide. Their high fiber content and robust nutrient profiles make them an attractive addition to contemporary diets. Herbs and spices also tell a similar story. Some plants once celebrated for their medicinal and culinary properties now remain obscure, even to seasoned chefs. Take silphium, a plant so valuable in ancient Greece and Rome that it was worth its weight in gold. Used as both a seasoning and a remedy for various ailments, silphium was so heavily harvested that it went extinct. Its disappearance left a void in Mediterranean cuisine that no single herb could fill. By understanding why ingredients like these faded from use, we gain insight into the larger patterns of societal change. Economic factors, agricultural advancements, and shifts in taste preferences all played a role. But here's where things get exciting. Rediscovering these lost ingredients isn't just about nostalgia. It's about reclaiming a connection to our past while enriching our present. Modern research suggests that reintroducing ancient grains, herbs, and other forgotten ingredients could help combat nutritional imbalances and promote sustainable farming practices. So, what if we started bringing these culinary treasures back into our kitchens? What might they teach us about resilience, sustainability, and the enduring power of food? The possibilities are as tantalizing as the flavors themselves. Let's continue unraveling this culinary tapestry, piece by flavorful piece. Picture this, a grand marble hall adorned with intricate frescoes, echoing with laughter and the clinking of silverware. At the center of the room, a long table is laden with the most extravagant dishes imaginable. Welcome to a Roman Imperial banquet, a spectacle of excess and opulence designed not just to feed but to dazzle. These events were as much about power as they were about food, a way for Rome's elite to flaunt their wealth, influence, and taste. Among the most infamous of these delicacies were stuffed dormice, considered a luxury dish reserved for the highest echelons of society. These tiny rodents, fattened on nuts, were roasted or baked in honey and spices, symbolizing the indulgence of the elite. Another bizarre treat was flamingo tongues, which were so highly prized that they appeared in ancient cookbooks like De Recoquinaria. Such exotic ingredients weren't chosen for flavor alone. They were markers of status, a way to show that the host could afford anything, no matter how rare or impractical. But it wasn't just the food that made these banquets remarkable. The rituals surrounding them were equally elaborate. Guests reclined on couches while slaves served course after course, each accompanied by wine diluted with water, as Romans believed undiluted wine was barbaric. Music and performances added to the atmosphere, turning the meal into an immersive experience. It was theater, politics, and gastronomy rolled into one. Yet, as extravagant as these feasts were, they represented only one side of Roman culinary life. While the wealthy dined on dormice and flamingo tongues, the common people, or plebeians, subsisted on simpler fare. Their diets revolved around staples like bread, olives, cheese, and legumes, supplemented by vegetables grown in their gardens. Meat was a luxury for most, eaten sparingly if at all. Even the beloved garum, a fermented fish sauce ubiquitous in Roman cuisine, had different versions depending on one's social class. This contrast between the opulence of the elite and the simplicity of the commoners reveals much about Roman society. Food, in its preparation and consumption, was a mirror reflecting hierarchies and values. As we delve deeper into the daily lives of ordinary Romans, we'll discover how their humble meals shaped a culture that thrived for centuries. And perhaps we'll find lessons in resilience and resourcefulness that resonate today. Imagine a bustling marketplace in ancient Egypt, filled with the aroma of freshly baked bread, the sound of vendors bargaining, and the sight of colorful fruit stalls. Food was more than sustenance for the Egyptians. It was a reflection of their social hierarchy, daily life, and deeply held spiritual beliefs. But what did the average Egyptian eat compared to the lavish feasts enjoyed by the pharaohs? For common Egyptians, meals were simple yet nourishing. Barley bread, made from one of the earliest cultivated grains, formed the backbone of their diet. This humble loaf was often coarse, dense, and not always easy to digest, but it provided the energy needed for labor-intensive work. Emmer wheat, another staple, was used for both bread and beer, which served as a safer alternative to water due to its fermentation process. Alongside these staples, Egyptians enjoyed onions, garlic, lentils, and a variety of vegetables grown along the fertile banks of the Nile. Meat was rare for most people, reserved for festivals or special occasions, though fish from the river and fowl like ducks were occasionally consumed. On the other hand, the tables of pharaohs and nobility overflowed with luxury. Roasted meats, game, and poultry adorned their feasts, served alongside sweet desserts made from dates, honey, and figs. Fine white bread, carefully crafted using advanced baking techniques, symbolized wealth and privilege. Wine, imported from regions such as Canaan, added an air of sophistication to their banquets. These elaborate meals weren't just about indulgence, they were a display of power, abundance, and divine favor. Food also played a central role in religious practices. Offerings to gods often included bread, beer, and fruits, reflecting the belief that deities required sustenance too. The preparation and sharing of meals were seen as acts of piety and community bonding. As we delve deeper into the culinary traditions of ancient civilizations, let's turn our attention to another empire whose approach to food tells stories of conquest, innovation, and cultural exchange. What can we learn from the Roman Empire's table? Imagine a world where the scent of cinnamon, the heat of black pepper, or the sweetness of cloves were completely unknown. This was the reality for many ancient civilizations before the spice trade emerged as a transformative force in culinary history. The exchange of spices not only revolutionized flavors but also reshaped economies and cultures in profound ways. Let's explore how this global network of trade reshaped the way people cooked and ate, leaving an indelible mark on global cuisine. The spice trade introduced ingredients that completely redefined the taste profiles of countless recipes. For example, cinnamon traveled from the lush forests of Sri Lanka to kitchens across Europe and Asia, finding its way into both sweet and savory dishes. Similarly, black pepper from India became so highly prized that it was sometimes used as currency, a testament to its value. These new ingredients allowed chefs to experiment with bolder, more complex flavors, elevating humble meals into culinary masterpieces. Suddenly, a simple stew could be transformed into an aromatic delight, a flatbread into a spiced delicacy, or a bland dessert into something rich and indulgent. But the impact of the spice trade extended far beyond flavor. Economically, it created massive wealth for certain regions while sparking fierce competition between empires. Control over spice routes became a source of power, leading to the rise of influential trade hubs like Venice and Alexandria. Culturally, the exchange of spices fostered interactions between distant civilizations, promoting an early form of globalization. Recipes and techniques traveled alongside spices, blending traditions and creating fusion cuisines long before the term existed. For instance, consider the role of chili peppers, which didn't originate in Asia but were brought there via European traders after discovering them in the Americas. Today, they're essential to dishes in countries like Thailand, India, and China, showcasing how trade reshaped entire cuisines. It's fascinating to think that what we now consider traditional dishes often have roots in this global exchange. As we delve deeper into history, it becomes clear that the spice trade wasn't just about commerce, it was about connection. Through the lens of food, we see how trade built bridges between cultures, influencing how we eat even today. So, the next time you sprinkle pepper on your salad or taste the warmth of cinnamon in your coffee, take a moment to appreciate the journey these flavors have taken and the profound impact they've had on our shared culinary heritage. Imagine strolling through the bustling agora of ancient Athens, the air alive with the aroma of freshly baked bread and grilled fish. The Greeks, masters of simplicity and balance, revolutionized the culinary world with their profound respect for natural flavors. At the heart of their innovations lay two staples that have since become cornerstones of Mediterranean cuisine: olive oil and wine. These ingredients weren't just dietary essentials, they were symbols of culture, trade, and reverence for the earth's bounty. Olive oil, often referred to as liquid gold, was more than a cooking medium for the Greeks. They used it to enhance the flavors of vegetables, meats, and grains, allowing the natural essence of each ingredient to shine without overpowering it. Its versatility made it indispensable in kitchens across the Aegean, serving as both a seasoning and a preservative. Meanwhile, wine wasn't merely a beverage, it played a central role in rituals, social gatherings, and even health practices. Diluted with water, it provided a safer alternative to drinking unclean water while adding a touch of luxury to everyday life. What set Greek cuisine apart was its unwavering commitment to quality over quantity. Rather than relying on elaborate preparations, they celebrated the purity and freshness of ingredients. This philosophy extended beyond meals into their approach to dining itself. Sharing food was an act of community, a way to strengthen bonds among family, friends, and strangers alike. It's no wonder their methods have endured, influencing countless generations and leaving an indelible mark on modern Mediterranean diets. But the Greeks weren't alone in their culinary ingenuity. As we explore further, we'll discover how other ancient civilizations, from the Romans to the Persians, shared similar values, adapting them to fit their unique environments. Through these parallels, we can glimpse the universal threads that connect humanity's love affair with good food. So, let's uncover how simplicity became a cornerstone of culinary excellence, a lesson as relevant today as it was millennia ago. Maize, or corn as it's more commonly known today, was far more than just a food source for the Aztecs. It was the lifeblood of their civilization. Imagine a world where every meal, every ritual, and even the structure of daily life revolved around this golden grain. To the Aztecs, maize wasn't merely sustenance, it was a divine gift, a symbol of life, fertility, and prosperity. In fact, their creation myths tell of humans being crafted from maize dough by the gods, underscoring its spiritual importance. The Aztecs developed an extraordinary array of dishes centered around maize, many of which have influenced modern Mexican cuisine. Take, for example, the humble tortilla. While today we might think of it as a simple flatbread, in Aztec times, it was a labor-intensive delicacy made from nixtamalized maize, a process that involved soaking and cooking the kernels in an alkaline solution to unlock its full nutritional potential. This technique not only enhanced the flavor and texture but also boosted the maize's vitamin content, making it an indispensable part of the Aztec diet. Another staple was tlacoyo, a type of thick maize cake often filled with beans or squash blossoms. The Aztecs also created atole, a warm, nourishing maize-based drink flavored with cacao, chili, or honey. These dishes weren't just functional, they were imbued with cultural meaning, served during festivals and ceremonies to honor the gods who had blessed them with this sacred crop. Now, if we fast forward to today, you'll find echoes of these ancient recipes in modern Mexican cuisine. Tacos, tamales, and pozole all trace their roots back to the ingenious culinary practices of the Aztecs. But what's truly remarkable is how these traditions have survived and evolved over centuries, adapting to new ingredients while preserving their core essence. As we explore further into pre-Columbian cooking, we uncover not just recipes but a profound connection between food, culture, and spirituality. What other hidden gems lie buried in the kitchens of ancient empires? Let's delve deeper to find out. Imagine a pre-Columbian world where the Andean mountains were bustling with life, thanks in large part to the incredible agricultural innovations of the Inca. At the heart of their diet were two foods that served as the backbone of their civilization: potatoes and quinoa. These humble plants were not just sustenance, they were nutritional powerhouses that allowed the Inca to thrive in one of the most challenging environments on Earth. Let's take a closer look at how these ancient staples not only fed but fortified an empire. First, potatoes. Today, we think of potatoes as a comforting side dish, but for the Incas, this tuber was a lifeline. Did you know that there are over 4,000 varieties of potatoes native to the Andes? The Incas cultivated an incredible diversity of potatoes, each adapted to different altitudes and climates. This genetic diversity was key to ensuring stable food supplies, even during times of drought or frost. But what made potatoes truly remarkable was their ability to be preserved. Through a traditional process called chuño, the Incas would freeze dry potatoes by exposing them to the high-altitude cold at night and trampling them underfoot during the day. This technique allowed them to store potatoes for years, creating a reliable food reserve that kept entire communities fed through lean seasons. Now, let's turn to quinoa. Often called the mother grain, quinoa wasn't actually a grain at all. It's a seed. High in protein, fiber, vitamins, and minerals, quinoa provided the Incas with essential nutrients they needed to survive at high altitudes. It was so important to their culture that it was considered sacred, often used in religious ceremonies. Quinoa's versatility made it indispensable. It could be boiled, baked, or ground into flour, and its leaves were also edible. Together, potatoes and quinoa formed the foundation of an Incan diet that sustained armies, workers, and families alike. So, how did these foods allow the Inca to build such a massive empire? Their nutritional value was unmatched, providing the energy and strength needed for hard labor in the mountains. Moreover, their preservation techniques ensured food security, reducing the risk of famine. As we move forward, we'll explore other ancient staples from around the world, uncovering the secrets behind their success. But for now, consider this: the next time you enjoy a bowl of quinoa or a baked potato, you're tasting a piece of history, the legacy of a civilization that harnessed the power of nature to create abundance amidst adversity. Bread played an absolutely central role in the daily lives of the Persian Empire, serving not just as a source of nutrition but as a cultural symbol that reflected the richness and diversity of their society. The Persians mastered the art of bread making, crafting a wide variety of loaves, flatbreads, and other baked goods that catered to different occasions and social classes. One of the most iconic Persian breads is nan-e-barbari, a thick, chewy flatbread often topped with sesame seeds, symbolizing hospitality and community. Another example is lavish, a thin, delicate flatbread that could be stored for long periods, making it ideal for travelers and soldiers. These breads were baked in traditional tonner ovens, deep, round clay pits that retained heat incredibly well, allowing for perfectly crisp crusts and tender interiors. What made Persian breads truly unique was their use of regional grains and herbs. Barley and emmer wheat were staples, but bakers also experimented with millet, rye, and even chickpea flour, creating breads with distinct textures and flavors. Herbs like dill, cumin, and fenugreek added layers of complexity to their creations, turning something as simple as bread into a canvas for culinary artistry. This focus on innovation in baking influenced neighboring regions, from the Mesopotamian lowlands to the Anatolian highlands. For instance, the Greek adoption of flatbread techniques during Alexander the Great's conquests can be traced back to Persian influence, showcasing how food transcends borders and becomes a vehicle for cultural exchange. But the legacy of Persian bread doesn't stop there. As we delve further east, we see how these practices inspired Asian culinary traditions, particularly in Central Asia, where bread making became deeply intertwined with nomadic lifestyles. Imagine the Silk Road not only as a trade route for silk and spices, but also as a conduit for recipes and techniques, shaping the diets of countless civilizations along the way. In the next section, we'll explore how Asian cuisines absorbed and transformed these ancient methods, creating dishes that continue to tantalize our taste buds today. As you can see, bread wasn't merely sustenance for the Persians. It was a thread that wove together their history, culture, and connections with the wider world. So let's journey onward and uncover the next layer of this fascinating story. Imagine the bustling markets of the Silk Road, where merchants from distant lands gathered to trade not only silk and spices but also their culinary secrets. These ancient trade routes weren't just highways for goods, they were pathways for ideas, flavors, and techniques that transformed how people ate. As Chinese, Indian, and Middle Eastern cuisines collided, a remarkable fusion emerged, one that speaks volumes about the power of cultural exchange. Take, for instance, the evolution of noodles. While noodles are often associated with China, the Silk Road introduced them to Persia, where they became the base for a dish known as kashk-e-badanjan, a creamy eggplant and noodle stew. This wasn't just a recipe, it was a cultural handshake, blending Chinese techniques with Persian ingredients and flavors. Similarly, spices like cardamom and cloves traveled from India to Central Asia, finding their way into meat broths and breads, adding depth and complexity to dishes that had never tasted anything like them before. Migration played a pivotal role in this culinary dance. As traders and travelers settled in new lands, they brought not only their traditions but also their adaptations. In the Middle East, chefs began incorporating Chinese methods of fermentation into pickling, creating tangy condiments that complemented local dishes. Meanwhile, Indian curries, rich with turmeric and coriander, inspired variations in Central Asia where milder versions became staples. This exchange wasn't one-sided. Chinese chefs, inspired by Central Asian flatbreads, began experimenting with dough, eventually creating mantou, a steamed bun that remains popular today. The blending of techniques and flavors didn't erase individual identities. It enriched them, allowing each cuisine to grow while respecting its roots. So, why does this matter? The fusion dishes born along the Silk Road teach us an important lesson. When cultures meet, innovation flourishes. Food becomes more than sustenance. It becomes a canvas for storytelling, a reflection of history, and a testament to human connection. By exploring these ancient recipes, we're not just tasting flavors, we're tasting the story of migration, adaptation, and mutual respect. Dumplings are, without a doubt, one of the most beloved foods in Chinese cuisine, but their history is far richer and more intricate than you might expect. Imagine this, a cold winter's day in ancient China, where humble families gathered around steaming pots of boiling water or sizzling pans, crafting simple yet ingenious parcels of dough filled with seasoned meats, vegetables, or even sweet treats. These are the origins of dumplings, a dish that transcended mere sustenance to become a cultural cornerstone, steeped in tradition and meaning. In ancient China, dumplings were more than just food. They were symbols of prosperity and good fortune. Their crescent shape resembled ancient gold and silver ingots known as yuan bao, which were considered signs of wealth. During festivals like the Lunar New Year, families would prepare dumplings together, often hiding a coin inside one or two as a wish for luck in the coming year. This ritual continues to this day, connecting generations through shared traditions and flavors. But the beauty of dumplings lies not only in their symbolism but also in their adaptability. Across China's vast regions, dumplings have evolved to reflect local tastes and ingredients. In the north, where wheat is abundant, you'll find thick-skinned boiled gyaozi, perfect for scooping up robust pork and cabbage fillings. In the south, thinner wrappers give way to delicate shrimp and pork siu mai steamed to perfection. Meanwhile, in western provinces like Xinjiang, dumplings take on a Middle Eastern twist with spiced lamb fillings wrapped in flaky pastry. What makes dumplings so enduring is their ability to adapt while retaining their core essence. They are a testament to the ingenuity of ancient Chinese cooks who turned basic ingredients into something extraordinary. As we delve deeper into China's culinary history, we'll uncover other innovations that have similarly shaped global cuisine, proving that what starts as a simple idea can ripple outward, influencing cultures worldwide. So, the next time you bite into a dumpling, remember, you're tasting a piece of history rich with stories waiting to be told. Imagine stepping back into ancient Japan, where the rhythm of daily life was closely tied to the changing seasons and the need to preserve food for leaner times. One of the most fascinating culinary practices to emerge from this era is the art of fermentation. This ingenious technique not only extended the shelf life of perishable goods, but also transformed humble ingredients into rich, complex flavors that define Japanese cuisine to this day. Fermentation in Japan began as a necessity, but it evolved into a craft that celebrated the natural world. By harnessing microorganisms and time, Japanese chefs discovered ways to preserve rice, soybeans, vegetables, and even fish. Miso, soy sauce, sake, and pickles are just a few examples of these treasures born from patience and expertise. Each of these foods tells a story of innovation, rooted in the country's unique climate and culture. For instance, sake production relied on koji mold to break down rice starches into fermentable sugars, a process so integral that koji itself became known as national fungus. What made Japanese fermentation stand out was its attention to balance and harmony. Every ingredient played a role in enhancing umami, the savory fifth taste that anchors so many dishes. This focus on flavor depth has ensured that these techniques remain not just relevant but indispensable in kitchens worldwide. Modern chefs now draw inspiration from ancient methods, experimenting with everything from koji-based seasonings to naturally fermented vinegars. As we delve deeper into the world of fermentation, consider this: how might the principles behind these age-old practices inspire your own cooking? The answer lies in understanding the transformative power of time and nature. And as we explore the next chapter in our culinary journey, we'll uncover even more secrets hidden within the world's great empires. Religion has long been a guiding force in many aspects of human life, and food is no exception. Imagine a society where meals are not just sustenance but a reflection of deeply held spiritual values. This was the reality for many ancient civilizations, where religious beliefs played a pivotal role in shaping what people ate and how they prepared their food. Let's delve into this fascinating connection and explore how faith influenced ancient diets. In ancient India, Hinduism laid down strong dietary principles, emphasizing vegetarianism as a path to spiritual purity. Cows, considered sacred in Hindu tradition, were protected, which led to a diet rich in plant-based foods like grains, legumes, and vegetables. This dietary practice not only shaped individual meals but also influenced agricultural practices, encouraging the cultivation of crops suited to vegetarian lifestyles. The emphasis on non-violence or ahimsa encouraged a lifestyle that avoided harm to animals, creating a ripple effect on the entire food system. Similarly, Jewish dietary laws, known as kashrut or kosher regulations, defined what was permissible and prohibited. Foods like pork and shellfish were forbidden, while careful preparation methods ensured adherence to religious doctrine. These rules extended beyond mere sustenance, serving as a daily reinforcement of faith. Even the act of eating became a spiritual exercise, with prayers and rituals accompanying meals. The observance of these laws created a bond within communities, reinforcing identity and unity. But religion wasn't the only factor at play. Secular influences often intersected with spiritual beliefs, creating a complex web of dietary practices. For example, in many societies, economic conditions and availability of resources determined whether religious ideals could be fully realized. While ideals might promote vegetarianism, scarcity could force reliance on whatever was available, blending practical necessity with spiritual aspiration. This interplay between the sacred and the secular reveals how flexible ancient societies were in balancing their beliefs with the realities of daily life. It's a testament to the adaptability of humanity and the enduring power of food as both a practical necessity and a spiritual expression. As we uncover more about these practices, we gain valuable insights into the rich tapestry of human history where every meal tells a story. What would it be like to sit at an ancient table, sharing a meal steeped in millennia of tradition and belief? The answer might surprise you, and it's just the beginning of unraveling the mysteries of the past. Imagine yourself seated in the grand hall of a medieval European castle, the air alive with the clinking of goblets and the laughter of nobles. Towering arches stretch high above, and the scent of roasted meats, fresh baked bread, and spiced wines wafts through the room. This is more than just a meal, it's a celebration, a display of wealth, power, and artistry. At these lavish banquets, food was not merely sustenance but a performance, a way for the elite to flaunt their status and sophistication. Let's take a closer look at what made these feasts so extraordinary. The courses were nothing short of theatrical. A typical banquet might begin with delicate appetizers like spiced nuts or honey-glazed fruits, followed by rich stews and roasted fowls seasoned with exotic spices traded from faraway land. The centerpiece of the feast was often a roasted boar or peacock, presented whole with its feathers intact to dazzle guests. These dishes were accompanied by intricate pastries shaped into castles, animals, or fantastical creatures, showcasing the chef's skill. And let's not forget the drinks, imported wines, ale brewed on estate grounds, and even spiced mulled wine to warm the soul in cooler months. But while the nobility indulged in such opulence, peasants lived a far simpler life. Their meals revolved around basic staples like grains, vegetables, and occasionally dairy or eggs. Bread was a cornerstone of their diet, often paired with pottage, a thick stew made from whatever vegetables were available. Meat was scarce, reserved for special occasions or when a chicken met its end. Yet there was creativity even in simplicity. Peasant kitchens birthed hearty recipes like black pudding, made from blood and oats, and pottage enriched with herbs foraged from nearby woods. Now, the intriguing part, many of these recipes have lingered in history's shadows, waiting to be rediscovered. By studying manuscripts and cookbooks preserved from this era, we can glimpse the flavors that defined medieval Europe and perhaps even replicate them today. Would you taste a dish fit for royalty or explore the humble, earthy flavors of village life? The choice is yours as we delve deeper into the culinary mysteries of the past. Imagine a world where every ingredient was dictated not by convenience or global trade, but by the land itself. For ancient civilizations, climate wasn't just an environmental factor. It was the ultimate guide to what could be grown, caught, or harvested. This reliance on geography profoundly shaped not only what they ate, but also how they prepared their food. Let's explore how the natural environment dictated culinary practices and gave rise to some of the most fascinating recipes in history. Take coastal communities, for example. In regions like ancient Greece, Egypt, or even the early Mediterranean settlements, fish wasn't merely a luxury, it was a lifeline. Saltwater fishing allowed these societies to thrive on abundant marine resources, leading to creative methods of preservation. Salt-cured fish, for instance, became a staple because it could last through long journeys or harsh winters. But preservation wasn't just about survival. It added layers of flavor that modern cooks still marvel at. For example, garum, a fermented fish sauce, was so prized in Roman kitchens that it was traded as a luxury item across the empire. This simple necessity born out of climate evolved into an ingredient so influential that it shaped entire cuisines. Now shift inland to arid deserts or high-altitude plateaus. Here, water scarcity and limited vegetation forced cooks to get creative with grains, legumes, and dried goods. Bread, in its countless forms, became one of humanity's greatest culinary achievements. The ancient Egyptians are often credited with inventing the first true loaves, using their fertile Nile floodplains to cultivate wheat. Yet their innovation didn't stop there. They experimented with yeast fermentation, creating lighter, airier breads that were leaps ahead of their flatbread predecessors. Meanwhile, in the harsh landscapes of Central Asia, nomadic tribes relied heavily on dried meats and hardy grains like millet, developing portable, calorie-dense meals that sustained them through grueling journeys. But what about tropical regions? The abundance of fruit and vegetables in places like ancient Mesoamerica or Southeast Asia meant that cooks had access to vibrant flavors and textures that would have been unimaginable elsewhere. Corn or maize was central to Mayan cuisine, forming the basis of tortillas, tamales, and more. These dishes weren't just sustenance. They were deeply tied to culture and ritual, reflecting the people's reverence for their environment. Each of these examples illustrates how geography wasn't just an influence on cooking, it was the driving force behind innovation. As we uncover more about these ancient techniques, we'll see how they continue to inspire modern chefs today. So, next time you reach for a baguette or drizzle your dish with fish sauce, remember, you're tasting history in every bite. When we talk about reconstructing ancient recipes, we're delving into a fascinating blend of detective work, experimentation, and culinary artistry. Historians, archaeologists, and even chefs collaborate to piece together the flavors and techniques of civilizations long gone. But how do they actually do it? Let's explore the intricate process that breathes life back into these lost culinary practices. The foundation of this work is often ancient text fragments of clay tablets, scrolls, or inscriptions left behind by ancient scribes. For example, the famous Babylonian tablets from the 17th century BC contain some of the earliest recorded recipes, including instructions for preparing stews and broths. These texts, though invaluable, can be cryptic. Imagine trying to decipher a recipe written in cuneiform or ancient Greek, where measurements aren't standardized and ingredients may no longer exist in their original form. It's like solving a puzzle with missing pieces. Beyond texts, archaeology plays a crucial role. Excavated cooking utensils, food residues on pottery, and remains of crops and livestock provide tangible clues about the ingredients and methods used in ancient kitchens. For instance, researchers analyzing charred remains in pots from medieval Europe have identified traces of herbs, grains, and even dairy products, shedding light on the diets of the time. These findings are then cross-referenced with historical records and cultural contexts to piece together a more complete picture. However, the process comes with its share of challenges. Ingredients might not always translate directly from the past to the present. Take, for example, ancient grains like emmer or einkorn, which were staples in many early civilizations but are rarely used today. Modern cooks attempting these recipes must adapt, substituting similar grains while striving to preserve the essence of the original dish. Another hurdle lies in the interpretive nature of the work. Recipes from ancient times often lack the precision we expect today. Instructions like a handful of barley or cook until done leave plenty of room for interpretation. This is where creativity meets science, as chefs experiment with different techniques to achieve results that align with historical evidence while still being palatable to modern tastes. As we continue to uncover these ancient recipes, the practical aspect becomes exciting. You can try them yourself. In our next segment, we'll dive into how to bring these historical flavors into your own kitchen, exploring the tools, ingredients, and methods needed to recreate a taste of the past. Imagine a world where culinary practices passed down through generations have been lost to time, only to be rediscovered centuries later. This isn't just about nostalgia, it's about reconnecting with the wisdom of our ancestors and finding practical applications for their methods in today's kitchens. Let's take a closer look at some fascinating examples of ancient techniques making a comeback and explore why they matter more than ever. One standout example is pit cooking, a technique used by various cultures around the globe. From Native American tribes to the Maori people of New Zealand, pit cooking involves slow roasting food underground with layers of heated stones and vegetation. This method not only infuses flavor but also preserves nutrients by cooking food gently over extended periods. Modern cooks who have revived this practice describe it as transformative, offering a taste experience unlike anything achieved on a stovetop or grill. Plus, it's eco-friendly. By harnessing natural heat sources, it reduces reliance on modern energy-intensive appliances. Another remarkable technique is smoke preservation, which dates back thousands of years. Before refrigeration, smoking was a staple for extending the shelf life of meats and fish. But today, chefs and food enthusiasts are embracing it for reasons beyond preservation. The rich, complex flavors imparted by different types of wood smoke add depth to everything from salmon to cheese. What's more, this technique aligns perfectly with contemporary health trends because it avoids chemical additives often found in processed foods. Why do these methods hold such value today? They bridge the gap between tradition and innovation, reminding us that sometimes the best solutions come from looking back rather than forward. By reimagining ancient techniques, we honor our heritage while equipping ourselves with sustainable, flavorful ways to feed ourselves. And let's not forget, there's something deeply satisfying about reconnecting with nature through hands-on cooking processes. In our next segment, we'll dive deeper into how these practices inspire new culinary movements and foster global connections. Stay tuned. When we think of ancient kitchens, the image that often comes to mind is one of bustling activity, filled with aromatic spices and the gentle hum of conversation. But behind this serene picture lies a story of strength, innovation, and endurance, an untold narrative of the women who were the true architects of culinary traditions. Women in ancient civilizations were not merely cooks. They were the keepers of knowledge, the guardians of techniques passed down through generations, and the creators of dishes that defined cultures. In many societies, women were responsible for managing the household, which included preparing meals for their families. This role extended far beyond the mere act of cooking. They sourced ingredients, often traveling long distances to gather herbs, grains, and other essentials. They devised methods to preserve food during lean seasons, ensuring survival when resources were scarce. These women pioneered techniques like fermentation, drying, and curing methods that are still valued in modern cuisine today. What makes their contributions even more remarkable is how these culinary practices often intertwined with broader societal roles. In some cultures, women used their kitchens as hubs of social interaction, fostering community bonds and passing along wisdom to younger generations. For instance, in ancient Mesopotamia, women played a pivotal role in brewing beer, a beverage central to both daily life and religious ceremonies. This connection between food preparation and cultural rituals highlights the depth of their influence. Yet, these women faced challenges that tested their resilience. Economic hardships, political instability, and social restrictions often limited their opportunities. Despite these obstacles, they adapted, innovated, and continued to nurture their families and communities. Their ingenuity was born out of necessity, but it also shaped the very fabric of early culinary arts. As we explore their stories, we uncover a rich tapestry of human experience. The next time you enjoy a traditional dish, consider the hands that first crafted it, the women whose quiet yet powerful contributions have left an indelible mark on history. Their legacy reminds us that true progress begins at home, in the places where love meets necessity. So, how do these ancient traditions inspire our approach to cooking today? Let's delve further into the ways their teachings resonate across time. Imagine stumbling upon a perfectly preserved piece of charred bread, thousands of years old, pulled from the ashes of an ancient oven. It's not just an artifact, it's a culinary whisper from the past, carrying with it the secrets of how people ate, lived, and perhaps even celebrated. Archaeologists around the world are unearthing finds like these, and they're reshaping our understanding of ancient culinary practices. These discoveries serve as vital puzzle pieces, helping us piece together the intricate history of food in long-lost civilizations. Take, for instance, the clay ovens discovered in Mesopotamia. These simple yet ingenious structures were the heart of early kitchens, where flatbreads and other staples were baked. The design of these ovens tells us not only about their cooking methods, but also about the social dynamics of the time. In many cases, communal ovens indicate shared meals and gatherings, offering glimpses into ancient social traditions. Similarly, charred grains found at excavation sites reveal what crops were grown and how they were processed. By studying these grains, researchers can reconstruct ancient diets and the agricultural practices that supported them. But it's not just about bread and grains. In Pompeii, archaeologists uncovered carbonized loaves still sitting in their baking trays, frozen in time by the catastrophic eruption of Mount Vesuvius. These finds offer invaluable insight into the daily lives of the people, a snapshot of what they ate on an ordinary day. From the ingredients used to the preparation techniques, each detail paints a vivid picture of a civilization's culinary habits. And it's not always about the artifacts themselves. The location of kitchens within ancient homes, the tools used, and even the spatial arrangement of cooking areas can tell us how food preparation fit into daily life. For example, in ancient Greece, the separation of kitchen spaces from living quarters suggests a clear distinction between cooking and dining, hinting at the importance placed on mealtime as a separate and celebrated activity. As we continue to explore these discoveries, each find brings us closer to understanding not just the food itself, but the people who prepared and enjoyed it. These archaeological treasures are more than relics, they're a bridge connecting us to the kitchens and tables of the past. What else lies buried, waiting to share its story? Our journey is far from over, and the answers may be closer than we think. It's truly fascinating to explore the dishes that have not only stood the test of time, but also continued to thrive in kitchens around the world. While many recipes have faded into history, some have persevered across centuries, adapting to new tastes, cultures, and ingredients. Let's take a closer look at examples like hummus and pilaf, two ancient preparations that remind us how food can transcend time and geography. Hummus, for instance, is believed to have originated in the Middle East, with roots possibly dating back to ancient Egypt. This creamy chickpea-based dip has been a staple in the region for thousands of years, yet its popularity has only grown in modern times. What makes hummus so adaptable? Its simplicity. By relying on just a few core ingredients, chickpeas, tahini, garlic, lemon juice, and olive oil, it can easily incorporate local flavors or variations while retaining its fundamental essence. Today, you'll find countless versions of hummus worldwide, from roasted red pepper infusions to spicy harissa blends. Yet, no matter how it evolves, hummus remains an enduring symbol of cultural continuity. Then there's pilaf, a dish prepared by cooking rice or grains in seasoned broth, which has existed in various forms across ancient civilizations. From the biryanis of India to the Persian cello and Spanish paella, pilaf shows us the interconnectedness of culinary traditions. This dish's survival is due to its versatility. Whether you're adding saffron for a luxurious flair or using whatever herbs and spices are available locally, pilaf adapts seamlessly to regional preferences without losing its original charm. In fact, its adaptability underscores how food can unite people despite vast differences in geography and culture. These dishes remind us that survival isn't about resisting change, it's about embracing it. Hummus and pilaf teach us valuable lessons about resilience and innovation. They aren't relics frozen in time, they're living traditions that continue to evolve, proving that the most successful recipes aren't rigid, they're flexible enough to grow alongside humanity. Imagine these dishes as bridges connecting the past with the present. They carry with them stories of ancient harvests, trade routes, and communal meals, all while adapting to the needs and desires of contemporary cooks. Understanding their journey gives us insight into how culinary traditions survive, not through resistance to change, but through a harmonious balance between tradition and transformation. In the next part, we'll uncover how these dishes and others like them continue to influence global cuisine today. Imagine stumbling upon an ancient scroll hidden away in a dusty corner of a forgotten library, revealing a recipe so unique it could redefine the way we think about modern cuisine. This is not just a dream, it's a very real possibility. As archaeologists, historians, and culinary enthusiasts continue their relentless pursuit of knowledge, the rediscovery of lost recipes from ancient empires becomes increasingly likely. What treasures might still be waiting for us? Could these long-forgotten techniques and flavors spark a global revival in the culinary arts? Consider the potential impact of rediscovering a recipe from the kitchens of the Aztecs, where chocolate was once revered as sacred. Or imagine unearthing a Roman dish meticulously crafted to honor the gods and finding that its flavors resonate even today. These recipes are more than just instructions. They are windows into the past, carrying with them the cultural, social, and environmental context of their time. By reviving these dishes, we could not only honor the ingenuity of ancient civilizations, but also inspire entirely new trends in modern cooking. The culinary world is already seeing a shift toward heritage ingredients, sustainable practices, and a deeper understanding of traditional methods. Imagine how discovering a recipe from the Indus Valley civilization, known for its advanced agricultural techniques, could influence this movement. Or what about the possibility of uncovering a Mesopotamian bread recipe, one that could teach us new ways to work with grains and fermentation? Each discovery has the potential to challenge our assumptions about food and open up new avenues for exploration. As we move forward, the fusion of ancient techniques with contemporary innovation could redefine the culinary landscape. Chefs around the world are increasingly experimenting with forgotten ingredients and methods, blending history with modern sensibilities to create something entirely new. This trend not only highlights the richness of our culinary heritage, but also emphasizes the importance of preserving and learning from the past. So, what does the future hold? The possibilities are as vast as they are exciting. With each new discovery, we inch closer to understanding the full breadth of human creativity and ingenuity throughout the ages. And who knows, perhaps the next great culinary revolution will begin with a single, long-lost recipe. So you've been captivated by the idea of recreating ancient recipes and want to bring history to life in your own kitchen. Fantastic, but where do you start? Exploring ancient cuisine isn't just about following instructions. It's about diving into a world rich with culture, tradition, and flavor. Here are some practical steps to help you embark on this flavorful journey. First, immerse yourself in research. Ancient recipes often lack the precision we're used to today. No specific measurements, no exact timings. Instead, they rely heavily on intuition and understanding. Look for primary sources such as ancient texts, inscriptions, or archaeological findings. Books like the Roman Banquet or Apicius, a cookbook dating back to the 4th century, provide invaluable insights. Websites dedicated to culinary history also offer well-researched recreations that you can trust. Next, think about sourcing ingredients. Many ancient staples like free-range grains, wild herbs, or heirloom vegetables are making a comeback thanks to growing interest in heritage produce. Visit local farmers markets, specialty grocery stores, or even online retailers focused on traditional ingredients. For instance, spelt, an ancient form of wheat, is increasingly available and adds authenticity to dishes like Roman flatbreads or Mesopotamian porridges. When preparing these meals, consider adopting historical cooking techniques. Modern kitchens may streamline cooking, but there's a magic in stirring ingredients over an open flame or baking bread in a clay oven. Try experimenting with rudimentary tools like mortar and pestle for grinding spices or using wood-fired grills for roasting meat. It's not only about taste, but also experiencing the tactile process of transforming raw materials into finished dishes. Finally, don't shy away from adapting recipes to suit modern palates while respecting their origins. History evolves, and so do our tastes. A pinch of sugar, a splash of citrus, or substituting unavailable ingredients with locally sourced options can make ancient recipes more palatable without losing their essence. By embracing these tips, you'll find yourself not only cooking but storytelling, telling tales of civilizations long past through the universal language of food. And speaking of stories, let's wrap up this exploration with some final thoughts about why this culinary journey matters so much. As we reach the end of our culinary journey through the ages, let's take a moment to reflect on the incredible wisdom we've uncovered. From the rich feasts of ancient Rome to the delicate art of Persian rice, each civilization left behind a legacy that tells us so much about who they were and who we are today. The recipes and practices we've explored were more than just methods of sustenance. They were expressions of culture, creativity, and connection. They reveal how our ancestors adapted to their environments, celebrated their traditions, and shared moments around the table. Preserving these lost culinary treasures isn't just about nostalgia. It's about understanding humanity's shared story and ensuring that future generations have access to this invaluable knowledge. Imagine what we might lose if these recipes disappear forever, entire chapters of history erased from memory. By studying them, we honor the people who came before us and learn lessons that can inspire the way we cook, eat, and live today. So, as you savor your next meal, think about the hands that shaped its origins. Consider the empires whose innovations brought certain ingredients to your plate, or the traditions that made certain flavors so timeless. There's magic in every bite when you know the history behind it. And remember, history isn't static, it's alive, evolving, and waiting for us to uncover its secrets. If you enjoyed this exploration into the kitchens of the past, there's so much more waiting for you. Subscribe to our channel to join us on future adventures where we'll dive deeper into history's mysteries, from forgotten feasts to unsolved riddles of the ancient world. Who knows, your next discovery could change the way you see the world, or at least the way you see your dinner. Thank you for watching, and until next time, may your table always be filled with stories worth telling.